The test is over, and as heaven declares you passed, you find yourself standing on the other side of a journey that has tested the very core of your being. But it wasn't about flawless performance or achieving perfection. In fact, it was never meant to be about hitting every mark exactly right, never faltering or always succeeding without error. It was never about presenting yourself as the picture-perfect embodiment of success. What the test was truly about, the heart of it. The real challenge was about who you became through the process. Transformation happens not in the absence of struggle, but in the facing of adversity. The resilience that arises from walking through difficult terrain and the wisdom gained through facing obstacles head-on. This test, which at times seemed unbearable, was ultimately about the growth, the maturity, and the strength you have acquired along the way. It was about spiritual expansion, gaining clarity, and learning to trust in something greater than yourself. In this moment, heaven affirms that you passed the test not because you did everything perfectly, but because you transformed. You evolved, and through that evolution, you became someone who can now carry the weight of a higher purpose, someone who can embrace their calling with the wisdom and strength that only comes from having endured and risen above. Now heaven is revealing the deeper meaning behind everything you've gone through. Every hardship, every moment of confusion, every sleepless night, and every tear that was shed has been woven into a beautiful tapestry of divine purpose. The struggle, while painful, was never for nothing. It was all part of the divine plan, setting the stage for this very moment of revelation, where you can look back and finally understand the purpose of the pain. Could you remain anchored in God's truth, even when the world around you seemed silent? Could you trust His leading without seeking the approval of others? This capacity for isolation doesn't mean you will always be alone, but it means you have the strength to stand firm and walk in your purpose no matter the circumstances. The test showed you that you don't need validation from the world, but instead, you need to be secure in God's love and grounded in His truth. This capacity will carry you into your divine assignment, allowing you to stand in your power without relying on external sources for your confidence or direction. The intensity of your test directly correlates to the magnitude of your assignment. The test wasn't just about proving your worth or seeing how much you could handle. It was about preparing you for something much bigger than you could have imagined. Every trial, every difficulty, every setback was expanding your spiritual container, making you capable of holding the blessings, responsibilities, and authority that are coming your way. The intensity of the pressure, the pain, and the struggle was necessary for the expansion of your spirit. You were being prepared for something greater, something that required a stronger foundation. God doesn't allow intense tests without having an even greater plan in mind. Your spiritual container had to be stretched to accommodate the growth and expansion that is coming. The more you endured, the more you grew, and the more capable you became of carrying the weight of the destiny God has for you. This is the promise. The test you endured was the gateway to your calling. The spiritual capacity you've developed through suffering will enable you to fulfill the magnificent assignment God has for you. Your transformation isn't just for your own benefit. It's for the world, for the people you will impact, the communities you will transform, and the purpose you are here to fulfill. The test was never about perfection. It was about transformation. The capacity you have developed is a gift from God, and it has prepared you to walk into your divine assignment with strength, wisdom, and faith. You are not the same person who started the journey, and that is exactly the point. Every difficulty, every moment of endurance, every struggle has shaped you into a person who is now prepared for the greater things God has in store. You have developed the capacity for pressure, the capacity for mystery, and the capacity for isolation, each of which will support you as you step into the future God has for you. The intensity of your test directly reflects the magnitude of your assignment, and now you are ready to walk confidently in the calling that God has placed on your life. After enduring the test, you are no longer the person who entered it. The test you faced fundamentally changed you. It was not just an external challenge. It was a deep internal transformation. The trials, the pressure, and the hardship were all vehicles for growth, stripping away the old layers of your identity and revealing a new version of yourself. This transformation is permanent, and it has equipped you for a higher purpose. What once seemed like insurmountable struggles have now given you the wisdom, strength, and resilience needed to move forward in your purpose. The shift you've undergone can be described as a movement through several phases of growth. You have transitioned from a seeker to a finder, no longer searching for answers, but now possessing the knowledge and clarity you once yearned for. The confusion that once clouded your vision has been replaced by certainty. In this new identity, you've shifted from being a learner to a teacher. The lessons you've gained through your experiences now serve as tools for others. The struggles you faced have not only prepared you for your own journey, but have equipped you to guide others who are walking a similar path. You have moved from being dependent on external sources of strength and validation to becoming interdependent, relying on God's guidance and your own inner wisdom, while also collaborating and contributing to the greater good. The shift also includes moving from hopeful to certain. Your hope has evolved into faith, and your faith is now anchored in the truth of God's promises. Where you once questioned your purpose and your path, you are now commissioned. The call has been made, and you are being entrusted with a higher responsibility. The hidden season is over. The emerging you is stepping into the light. You are no longer just a survivor of the struggles, but a thriving individual who has not only overcome, but has emerged stronger, wiser, and more aligned with their true purpose. The tests you have faced have equipped you with authority, not just any authority, but 3 specific types that are essential for stepping into your primary assignment. First, you have tested authority, the ability to make decisions, stand firm in your truth, and act confidently based on the wisdom and discernment you've gained. You've been tested in ways that have required you to rise to the occasion, to make tough decisions, and to trust yourself when the way forward wasn't clear. This tested authority gives you the strength to lead others with integrity and clarity. Next, you have gained resurrection authority, the ability to rise above the challenges, disappointments, and even failures you've faced. You have learned the art of resurrection. When you fall, you rise stronger. Your ability to resurrect from spiritual death or moments of defeat has built a deep, powerful resilience. Resurrection authority doesn't just mean surviving. It means coming back stronger and more aligned with your divine purpose. Through the darkest moments, you have learned to stand tall again with a deeper understanding of your strength and your divine calling. Lastly, you have been commissioned with commissioning authority, a direct call to step into your purpose with confidence. This authority is a divine appointment given to you as a result of the tests you've passed. You've been prepared and equipped for what lies ahead, and God is now officially entrusting you with a mission to carry out. Your authority is not just for yourself, but for the people you are meant to serve. Your voice, your presence, and your actions will influence and guide others as they walk their own paths. The authority you carry is not just for personal empowerment, but it is for serving a higher purpose. As you step into your assignment, you will be called to use this authority wisely, guided by your divine connection and your deeper understanding of God's plan. Your assignment is not just important, it is critical to the collective spiritual awakening happening in the world today. Everything you've endured, every moment of pain, every obstacle, and every triumph has been part of a divine preparation that has shaped you into the person capable of fulfilling this purpose. The test you faced was not random or arbitrary. It was a necessary part of the process that equipped you for greatness. You are not just a vessel for personal success. You are a vessel for transformation in the world. As you step into this assignment, you will find that the capacity built through the test has expanded your ability to handle the responsibilities that come with it. You are no longer just surviving. You are thriving. And with this thriving comes the responsibility to lead, serve, and elevate others. The capacity you've built for pressure, mystery, and isolation has uniquely prepared you to handle the challenges that will come with fulfilling this mission. You are ready. Now you must walk in it fully, embrace your divine calling, knowing that every challenge, every hardship, every test has prepared you for this very moment. Your assignment is here, and you are ready to step into it with confidence, strength, and clarity. This is your time. Embrace it. The test you endured wasn't just a random experience or an unfortunate phase. It was the qualification for the primary assignment you were always meant to fulfill. Each challenge, each trial, each moment of struggle and growth was carefully designed to prepare you for this very moment. It's easy to look back and think that those tests were meant to break you or punish you, but in reality, they were the training grounds for your purpose. Your struggles were the preparation for a higher calling, one that requires all the strength, wisdom, and resilience you've gained. You are exactly who you need to be, and God's perspective of you is the only one that matters. God has shaped you, refined you, and prepared you to walk in your purpose. Now is the time to fully embrace that identity and step into it. The weight of the past can no longer define you. The new creation you have become must be embraced and lived out in every aspect of your life. The next step is to identify your territory, to recognize the places where your purpose and passion align with the world around you. Your territory is the space where your gifts and calling can have the greatest impact. It's where you will bring transformation, healing, and growth to others. The key to identifying this territory lies in 3 areas: territory recognition, authority recognition, and passion alignment. First, recognize your territory by identifying the spaces where you feel most alive and activated. What areas of life or work resonate with you the most? What do you feel called to influence, whether it's within your community, your career, or in the lives of others? This is your territory, the place where God has called you to bring change. Second, look for authority recognition. This means recognizing the areas where others affirm your influence. In your territory, you will naturally carry authority because of your transformation and your unique gifts. When you're walking in your assignment, others will recognize your authority and be drawn to it. Lastly, passion alignment is about identifying where your heart and your purpose align with the world. When you find what you're passionate about, you'll also discover where you're meant to have the greatest impact. Passion fuels purpose, and when you are aligned with both, your assignment will feel effortless and empowered. The next immediate step is to take one obedient step toward your assignment. It doesn't matter how small the step might seem. What matters is that you take action. Obedience is the key to unlocking the next phase of your journey. Even if you don't have all the answers, even if the road ahead seems unclear, obedience will lead the way. The small steps of faith are often the ones that lead to the biggest breakthroughs. Take that first step, trusting that God will reveal the next step in due time. Trusting the process means embracing the unknown and stepping forward in faith. Your first action could be as simple as sending an email, making a phone call, taking a class, or even having a difficult conversation. The action you take today will set the momentum in motion, and God will guide you through each successive step. You are ready, you are equipped, you are called. You have walked through the test, endured the process, and now it's time to step into the fullness of your divine assignment with clarity, courage, and faith. God has not brought you this far to leave you stuck in confusion or doubt. The transition is here, and you have been prepared for this moment. Trust that the test was not just for your growth, but to prepare you for a greater purpose that will affect many. The door is open, and your assignment awaits. The time for action is now. Step forward with confidence, knowing that God is walking with you every step of the way. You've been made ready for this moment. And as you move forward, remember that God is faithful. The work you've done, the transformation you've experienced, and the steps of faith you're taking now are leading you into the fullness of your divine destiny. Let this be your declaration: you are ready, you are equipped, and your assignment is waiting for you. Now it's time to walk into it. In this moment of revelation, heaven is revealing why you had to go through everything you did. And it will be clear that the challenges you faced were meant to shape you into the person you are now, stronger, wiser, and ready for what's next. There's no denying it, you are different now. The person who entered the test was not the same person who emerged victorious on the other side. The pressure, the confusion, and the hardships you faced were not random or arbitrary. They were part of a larger process, a process of spiritual refinement and soul strengthening. You were being prepared for something bigger, something that was always meant for you, and it required your growth to reach this point. This is the moment when the curtain pulls back and the true meaning of your journey is revealed. You might look back at the challenges you faced and see them in an entirely different light. What once seemed like unnecessary suffering or unfair obstacles now makes perfect sense. The pieces fit together, and you see how every event in your life, no matter how difficult, has led to your transformation. You can now understand that every single hardship had its purpose in shaping your character, in teaching you invaluable lessons that could only be learned through experience. You are no longer the person who doubted themselves, who feared the future, or who struggled with insecurity. You have shed that version of yourself, and in its place stands someone who is more empowered, centered, and aligned with their true calling. The person who stood on the other side of the test is someone who is ready to embrace their divine destiny with confidence and clarity. As the curtain pulls back, you will begin to see the deeper layers of meaning behind the trials you've endured. You'll see how the pressure you felt wasn't meant to break you, but to reveal your true strength. The confusion you experienced wasn't a sign that you were lost, but that you were in the process of finding your way to something greater. The hardships you faced were never punishment. They were precursors to your ascension, clearing the path for you to step fully into the person you were always meant to become. This moment of clarity is a gift, one that allows you to see your past challenges not as burdens to bear, but as opportunities for growth. You will understand that every tear, every moment of heartache, every setback was shaping you, aligning you, and making you into the person who can now step into their full power and purpose. There's no more doubt or confusion. The veil has been lifted, and you can now see the full picture of your life and your journey. As you step into this new chapter, you'll realize that you're carrying with you the wisdom and experience that will guide you to even greater heights. Your challenges were the training ground for your future success. And now that you've learned the lessons they had to offer you, are equipped to move forward with confidence and clarity. With the unveiling of these truths comes a heightened level of awareness. You are no longer just going through the motions of life. You are now living with a deep understanding of the divine plan. You have crossed the threshold, no longer burdened by past struggles or uncertainties. Your past is no longer a source of shame or regret, but a wellspring of wisdom and strength that propels you forward. You are now fully aligned with your purpose, and the clarity you've gained will guide every decision you make moving forward. You've transformed your past pain into purpose and empowerment, and now you are ready to live out your true calling. Now that you have emerged from the test, the true work begins. It's time to claim your newfound strength, to step boldly into your divine purpose, and to begin living the life you've always known was waiting for you. The old you is no longer the person who faces the challenges ahead. You are now someone who has overcome and evolved. The universe is aligning with your growth, and this is your time to fully embrace what lies ahead. The road that once seemed uncertain is now clear, and the opportunities before you are waiting for you to claim them. With the wisdom, strength, and awareness you've gained, you are ready to face whatever comes next with grace and confidence. This is your moment of empowerment, the culmination of everything you have been through, a moment where you get to step into the fullness of who you are and what you are meant to accomplish. The testing is over, and now you are stepping into your purpose. Embrace it fully, for you are ready to live the life you've always been meant to lead. In God's economy, passing the test is not about flawless performance or meeting the world's expectations. The real purpose of the test you've endured is not to see if you can meet some external standard, but to measure how much transformation you've undergone on the inside. It's not about doing everything perfectly or flawlessly, executing every plan or strategy. Instead, God allows us to be tested so we can be transformed, so that we can emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with His divine will. When God allows us to go through challenging seasons, He's not checking to see if we can just survive. He's asking whether we will let the pressure of the moment refine us, whether we will allow the circumstances to mold us into the image He has always intended. The process of refining through pressure and struggle is what shapes our character and enables us to step into the fullness of our purpose. Just like gold is refined by fire, we are refined by the trials we face. These trials do not break us, but purify us, stripping away everything that is not aligned with the divine essence God wants to cultivate in us. We see this principle reflected in the lives of many biblical figures. For example, Abraham, who was called to sacrifice his son, Isaac went through a test not to prove his obedience, but to deepen his trust in God's provision. Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son was not just about obedience, but about his internal transformation, his growth in faith, trust, and understanding of God's character. Similarly, David was tested in his time as a shepherd, facing the lion and the bear, before he was called to stand before Goliath. David's victories weren't just about external triumphs, they were about his spiritual maturation, his trust in God, and his deep understanding of God's sovereignty. The Apostle Paul also experienced transformation through testing. In 2 Corinthians 12, Paul talks about his thorn in the flesh, a persistent trial that he begged God to remove. But God responded, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Paul didn't see the test as something to be avoided, but rather as an opportunity for spiritual growth. His weakness allowed God's power to shine through, and his suffering became a platform for his transformation into a more humble, dependent servant of God. The common thread among these biblical figures is that the test was not about performance, it was about who they became in the process. God's testing is always about refining the heart and spirit, not just evaluating how well we do. The test itself is the means to the transformation, the vehicle through which God molds us into who He has called us to be. Romans 5:3 is a passage that perfectly captures the essence of the transformation process that happens during a test. It says, "Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope." This powerful passage shows us the biblical pathway of growth through suffering. Suffering leads to perseverance, perseverance leads to character, and character leads to hope. Each stage is essential, and none can be skipped. Suffering, though painful, is not pointless. It serves to cultivate perseverance, which is the ability to endure hardship without giving up. Through perseverance, we are shaped into people of character, individuals who stand firm in their faith regardless of circumstances. And finally, this transformation leads us to hope, not a hope that is fragile or uncertain, but a hope that is steadfast and unshakable, because it is built on the foundation of our character and perseverance. This progression is what the test is truly about. God is working in us, through our suffering, to produce lasting change. God doesn't just want us to survive, but to become stronger and more resilient in the face of challenges. Without the testing period, we would lack the perseverance necessary for the character-building process that leads to the hope God desires for us. Through suffering, we experience God's presence in a profound way, knowing that He is refining us, shaping us, and preparing us for what's ahead. For example, Joseph's story in Genesis serves as an extraordinary example of how suffering shapes and molds someone for their ultimate purpose. Joseph went from being thrown into a pit by his brothers to being sold into slavery and then wrongly imprisoned. Yet each step of his suffering brought him closer to the role of governor of Egypt, where he would ultimately be able to save his family and countless others during a time of famine. Joseph's character was forged in the furnace of suffering. It was through his perseverance in the face of betrayal, injustice, and isolation that his character was built, and his story culminated in the hope that he would fulfill his divine destiny. Through suffering, God shapes us. Suffering doesn't leave us unchanged. It transforms us. Without it, we would lack the depth and strength required to handle the weight of the blessings and responsibilities God wants to give us. The test you've gone through wasn't about your perfection or flawlessness. It was about your transformation. You were being prepared for greater things, and the perseverance and character you've gained through this process will lead to the hope that you will not only endure, but also thrive. The great truth to remember about the test you've faced is that you didn't fail. Yes, there were moments of struggle, and there may have been times when you felt like giving up or wondered if you were on the right path. But God does not repeat lessons once they've been learned. If you've gone through a challenging period, and you've walked through it with faith, trust, and perseverance, then you've passed the test. The lesson is complete. God's intention wasn't for you to stumble or fail. It was to shape you, refine you, and prepare you for what's ahead. The trials you endured were the training you needed to step into your divine calling with the strength and wisdom necessary for the journey. God's love and guidance have carried you through every step. Even when it seemed like the pressure was unbearable, God was with you, building you into the person you were always meant to be. Now the test is over, and the purpose of your struggles has been fulfilled. You are no longer the same person who entered that trial. You are stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true self. You have passed the test, and now God is ready to move you into the next phase of your destiny. Throughout your testing season, God wasn't just allowing you to go through hardship for the sake of hardship. Every moment of struggle, pressure, and uncertainty was about building capacity, the ability to carry more, do more, and be more. In order to fulfill your divine purpose, you had to be prepared to handle what was coming next, and these tests have equipped you with 3 core capacities that are essential for your growth and success. One of the key lessons from your test was learning how to carry weight and resistance without breaking. Just like a weightlifter gradually increases the weight to build stronger muscles, your spirit has been tested under increasing amounts of pressure to build spiritual muscle that can't be lost. You learned how to face challenges, endure pain, and walk through adversity without allowing it to destroy your faith or break your resolve. This capacity for pressure means that when future trials come, you'll be able to carry them with grace and strength. You won't be overwhelmed by life's difficulties, because your foundation is now solid. Your strength has been refined, and your endurance has been tested and proven. This spiritual muscle allows you to stand firm when everything around you seems to be shifting. Your ability to remain calm under pressure is now one of your greatest assets, and this capacity will continue to grow as you face new challenges. In the past, you may have been easily knocked down by pressure or situations that seemed unbearable. But now, through the trials you've experienced, you have developed a spiritual resilience that keeps you grounded. You know now that nothing is too heavy for you to bear because you've seen God's faithfulness and strength working through you. This is the capacity that will help you stand in the face of challenges without losing your peace or your faith. The second essential capacity built through your test is the capacity for mystery. The test you faced wasn't just about physical endurance or emotional resilience. It also measured your ability to trust God when you couldn't see the full picture. There were moments when you couldn't understand why things were happening, why doors were closing, or why God wasn't answering your prayers in the way you expected. This mature faith, trusting in God's plan, even when you didn't have all the answers, is crucial for your assignment and future journey. Faith in the midst of mystery is a test of trust. When you couldn't understand God's timing or His decisions, the test measured whether you could still trust Him completely. Could you follow His guidance even when the path ahead was unclear? Could you walk in obedience despite feeling uncertain? Through this test, you learned that faith is not based on certainty, but on trusting God in the unknown. As you move forward in your purpose, this capacity will become invaluable. There will be times when things don't make sense, when circumstances look like setbacks, or when you're unsure of the next step. But your faith will carry you through, knowing that you don't need to understand everything to trust that God is in control. The capacity for mystery means you can walk with peace even when the answers are hidden, knowing that God is working all things together for your good. Another core capacity developed through your test was the capacity for isolation. There were times when you felt alone, misunderstood, or isolated from others. The test showed you whether you could remain true to God's will even when you were walking through life without the support or validation of others. This capacity is one of independence and self-sufficiency in the spiritual realm. You learn to hear from God for yourself, to lean on His strength, and to trust His guidance when others weren't around to affirm or support you. Isolation can feel overwhelming, but in those moments, God was teaching you to rely on Him and build your own spiritual foundation. You didn't have the crutch of other people's opinions or validation, and this was the point of the test.